In this video, I want to talk to you about the watercolor palettes that I sell and use. You can use whatever you want for my videos. I'm just going to give you some recommendations. I use this set. It's called Tropicals, and this is my most used for my videos and on the go. So talking about the Tropicals specifically, I like this set because it has a lot of very bright colors, and I'm going to test a few out here so that you can see them. And I can mix a lot of colors in here and make so many things, and I can mix up a black and a gray and all different kinds of variants of these colors by using complementary mixing. But the thing that I like the very most, besides it being bright and being able to tone it down by adding a brown, I can use this palette, and in my composition it will automatically look cohesive together. I also have this motif that I used with the tropical set. This one has the vibrant colors. I've toned down some of these greens, but you can see that the composition looks good together. These colors all look good together. I don't have to plan out. I can just look at the basics and sort of tweak each of those colors as I go. I'm going to show you how you would take, for instance, this green. It's called Palm out of this set. And I will take that palm and mix it, that green called palm, and mix it with this tiki. And now you can see, it's got a lot of water in there. That is kind of more of a muted tone now. And so as that dries, you'll see the example in a second. And then they have this bright green, which is fabulous for doing palm trees and other fun motifs. But as well, you can add that tiki to it, and it starts to tone it down. So it gives you a couple of good greens. And then we've got this one here, Parrot, which is kind of a yellowy green, and it's great as a first layer under leaves. And then you can add more pigment. You can see the more pigments you have and the less you can see the paper through it, it's going to become more intense. And I paint like a pear, or you saw that color here in this kind of beach bag. We'll let those dry and take a look at them. I also have something like this orange, which is called hibiscus, and it's nice and bright and vibrant, good for flowers. And I can make it more of a terracotta color by just adding a little bit of that brown in there. You can see you could do a clay pot with that, but that's just mixing those two colors together. When I do my videos, I will tell you that information so that you can follow along if you've got this tropical set or something similar at your home. So I also can mix a little bit of this lovely pink color with a little bit of this kind of orange color, and now you get sort of a nice rosy coral. Versus, say, this is straight out of the box, a nice strong pink. So you can see that you can make all of these variations here. Even say this, I'm going to put this in this box, this coconut color. I'm going to show you, you can now have this type of color so that you get a nice maybe sand if you're doing something like this, or as you saw on that sea turtle, something like this. So even though this is a pretty strong yellow, as you can see, I can tone it down by adding more water, or also adding just a tad of that brown to just mute the intensity right there. Now I've got this very strong purple right here, and I can mix that with a little bit of this sunset, as you saw me do, using my water brush, as you can see. So I'm squeezing a little bit, but the water brush bends and releases water here, and I'm just clearing it off with my paper towel. So now I can make somewhat of a raspberry color out of this color here and that purple there. Go across here, and I've got this Patea red, which is kind of pinky. However, if I wanted to tone it down a little bit and make it a little bit more of a brick red or a true red, I can play around with adding some brown to that, making it a little more of a brick red. And you can also create a black or gray by using complementary colors. In this case, it'd be ocean and a little bit of this orange. And that's a little blue. Just play around with that. Now it's brown. And it's really fun because I've got a lot of great colors now. You could mix so many different warm grays out of that. Oh, I really like this color. I'm going to try it out in my orange area there. Okay, so let's take some of that. Again, pick a new spot because I obviously put too much in. I guess that's the trick to it. You're just kind of playing around with adding a little bit by a little bit. And you see there, that's a black I just made out of a little bit of this and a tiny bit of that. And then if I add more water to it, I can make it a silvery gray. So you've got a lot of things that you can work with within this palette and make a ton of colors. And each of these, you can change the tone of them as well. So they work well and cohesive together. You see how beautiful those look already with one another. And one thing I didn't show you here are some of the blues. So that's a really nice, that ocean color, really nice deep blue. Often use that for some of my bottom of my clouds. This I use for water sometimes. And then I'll take a little bit of this hurricane blue, add it with a little bit of palm. And I've got this nice, bright, kind of dreamy ocean color there. So see, I just added a little bit of this and this together. And like I said, in my videos, I will tell you if I'm creating a color with this kit, if you have similar colors in your box at home, how to kind of mix that.